to order. Regular meeting of the Town of Florence Planning and Zoning Commission. Mr. Burkhart, would you please take the roll?
Okay, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Franzo?
Present.
Commissioner Chappelle?
Present.
Commissioner Bell? Commissioner Schmidt? Present. Commissioner Frost?
Present.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. Would you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4, discussion, approval, disapproval of the minutes of the special meeting conducted on October 11th, 2017. Do we have any comments, gentlemen?
Just one, if I could please. I noted that the motions and seconds were accurately depicted in here, but the discussion that occurred on some of these was not referenced at all.
That's right.
And so I wonder why the discussion that we have is not recorded in our minutes.
Chairman Franzo, Commissioner Frost, these minutes were prepared prior to my arrival, so I'll go back, listen to the tapes and fill in the discussion on each of the agenda items and bring it back to you, if you wish.
So with that, I would move that we postpone approving these minutes until our next meeting, until we get the amended minutes.
All right. Just to add to what Commissioner Frost said, we said goodbye to a planner at that time under call to the commission. There's absolutely nothing in these minutes that was said during that period. So if they would, please, the minutes are important and they need to pay a little bit better attention to filling them out. I understand that they don't want to put everything in there, but at least catch the highlights. So do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we postpone approving these minutes until we get the amended minutes back with the additions that we've requested.
Do I have a second?
I would second.
Motion made by Commissioner Frost to table the minutes until our next meeting. Second by Commissioner Schmidt. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Discussion, approval, disapproval to elect a vice chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Do I have a nominee, please? Yes.
I would nominate Commissioner Frost as the vice chair for Planning and Zoning.
I'll second that nomination. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Vice Chairman. I can sleep at night now. Okay. All right. New business, small cellular wireless facilities zoning text amendment. This is a text amendment. Discussion, approval, disapproval. This is a request by the Town of Florence as the applicant to initiate a development code text amendment to the development code of the Town of Florence for the purpose of modifying Part 9 wireless communication facilities, sections 150.180 through 150.184, and any other applicable sections to address changes in cellular technology and design and to comply with mandate state laws. Do we have a presentation, Mr. Dana?
We do not. Simply verbal explanation of what this is.
Okay, well then, I'll open up to the commission, and I'll be the first one to start. The way I read this, these changes are a blank check. You can change it to anything you want. And I would prefer, unless you tell us that this is so technical it's over our head, I don't think so, I would prefer to actually see the changes come before the commission rather than to approve the changes before they're ever written.
Chairman, if I may, point of order, and I will do a brief presentation if I may.
Sure.
Chairman, Commissioners, on March 31st, 2017, Governor Ducey approved a House Bill 2365, which essentially mandated all cities and towns and counties to adopt small cell wireless ordinance that's going to fast track wireless communication facility applications, particularly for small cells. The purpose of this item tonight is to initiate the text amendment to move forward. I'm not completely familiar with how Florence has initiated or moved into text amendments in the past. My experience is that either the Planning and Zoning Commission or the Town Council, when it's a zoning ordinance like this, I prefer the Planning and Zoning Commission, being your expertise, be the body to initiate the work to develop a text amendment with the community, with outreach, with meeting all the statutory requirements for amending ordinances, including public hearings. But we start that process with an initiation. So it's on the commission's radar. So if there's something that the commission doesn't like or doesn't wish staff spend their time on, you don't have to initiate an amendment. But my background has always included having a body initiate that work to proceed. Should the commission this evening wish to proceed with a text amendment and initiate the text amendment, we'll go forward, prepare the schedule for outreach and drafting and development and all those areas that Planning Commission as well as the public can engage in that dialogue with stakeholders as well, and then develop that code to bring before the Planning Commission with the noticed hearings to make a recommendation on an ordinance, a text amendment to the zoning code to Town Council. So that's the process I like to follow. We can certainly approach that in a different way in the future if you wish.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Burkhardt. It's just, I guess it's the way I interpreted the words, to address changes in cellular technology and design and to comply with mandate state laws. Any other applicable sections? As long as it's coming back to the commission.
So as I mentioned,
blank checks.
Prepare a schedule. No, is that blank check with regards to the statute?
Okay.
Or blank check with regards to staff, because, right, we'll prepare a schedule for outreach and make sure you're invited as well as all of our stakeholders in cellular services and the community abroad. And you'll see we'll have a whole schedule of when those first hearings will get scheduled, and you'll have plenty of time to review drafts, engage, provide comment, feedback, and so forth. And given the commission chooses to initiate staff to do this work, to develop a text amendment with the community, we'll have that schedule for you, and you can review it and be a part of that process.
Thank you, Mr. Burkhardt. Commissioner Frost.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Burkhardt, as I read this, I understand that this is a mandate coming down from the state, which we are a subdivision of, and we have no choice to not act on this. So if I'm reading this correctly, what you are seeking tonight is merely permission to start the process. And we will have the opportunity to view the wording that you are going to incorporate based on the legislation that we're receiving from the state, basically telling us, thou shalt do this. Am I reading this correctly?
Chairman, Commissioner Pranzo, or Commissioner Frost, apologize. Yes, that's exactly the process.
Yeah, the state basically took away a lot of the community's input. They pretty much written it and said this is the way you're going to do it. You know, we really have very little to.
I don't have a problem with that. It's just the way the words went. My misinterpretation that it was a blank check to just go ahead and write and nothing would come back. It's my misinterpretation of the words.
So it's simply initiating the process.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Commissioner Schmidt?
Do we have a timeline that we're looking at, when it'll come back?
Chairman, Commissioner, based on other text amendments I've seen go through, we would look at preparing something to get before you within the next 2 months. So we'd spend the preceding 2 months with outreach and text development, policy development to bring back to you. So it sounds like we'd probably be close to April, maybe your second meeting in April, but we'll back up and prepare a full schedule. This is, as the legislation was written, mandated to be in place by February 8th, next Thursday, basically. There's a handful of communities that have met that criteria, and then there's several that still are working on this and developing it.
Thank you, sir.
Obviously, we're in that boat.
Any other questions? Comments?
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Chairman Frost?
Thank you. Will the town attorney review this and give his thumbs up before we look at it, before we see the wording?
Chairman, Commissioner, yes. We have a technical advisory committee, so all departments will be a part of the process, including legal.
Great. I was hoping we would get a legal review before we cast our 2 cents at it. So,
And there's a contract ultimately that will evolve from this as well, a standardized contract is part of the requirement with the wireless providers.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to initiate the text amendment process to the Development Code of the Town of Florence to comply with state mandated House Bill 2365 for the regulation of small cell / microcell wireless antenna installations in the public right-of-way.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Frost, second by Commissioner Schmidt. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carried. Presentation by Development Services. Now, we just finished a 2-hour marathon on this, and unless somebody is thoroughly interested in repeating this, I would entertain a motion to, I don't know what the hell to do with it. We don't, to forego the torture. Do I have a motion?
I'll move that we set aside the presentation again.
Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
I have a motion by Chairman Schmidt to set aside the presentation by Development Services, second by Commissioner Frost. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Call to the public. Call to the public for public comment on business within the jurisdiction of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Individual commission members may respond to criticism made, may ask staff to review a matter raised, or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the commission shall not discuss or take action on any matter during an open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. Do we have any call to the public? Close the call to the public. Call to the commission. Current events only. We have, as was mentioned on Monday night by our illustrious town council member, we have the home tour coming up on the 10th, and we have a antique.
Well, it's not antique, it's just a car show. It's going to be all, it'll run the gamut. It'll,
On the
hot rods and restorations and then customs, and I'm sure there'll be a few antique cars, a lot of classics, I'm sure. But that's on the 17th, and I believe it starts at 10 in the morning. It'll be on Main Street.
Should be fun.
Yeah.
Any other current events? I'll close call to the commission. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move that we adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Frost. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We are adjourned.